From the river to the sea, take a pill just for me.
I know that like Bibi is controversial, but Bibi was sexy.
I feel that way about Gold in my ear. Ooh. Welcome back to Ami's house. Very excited for our guest today. Meeting IRL, as they say, in real life. Another fellow traveler on the front lines, supporting Israel, supporting the Jewish people, supporting Am Yisrael. Ladies and gentlemen, Lizzy Savetsky in the house.
Hey, guys. It's an honor to be here. I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I actually wanted to start with pushing back on something a little bit, because pre-October 7th, and I think you were booked to come on, we had to reschedule, but that was kind of before this, because you've been on this front line of talking about bringing awareness to ending Jew hatred and anti-Semitism. And there was a part of me that was going to say to you, I remember at the time, are we making a mountain out of a molehill? Like, where are you finding this? Are we looking for something that isn't there? And then post-October 7th, this insane emergence of anti-Semitism around the world, across the West, has been so rattling and startling, and it's kind of woken me up a little bit, because even as I'm a grandchild of Holocaust survivors, I've always been sort of conscious and aware of it, but I was always kind of downplaying it. But having said that, do you feel like on the crusade of bringing awareness to anti-Semitism, is there any credibility to say that we don't want to cry wolf, we don't want to call out anti-Semitism where it doesn't exist, so that when it really does exist, it holds more credibility? Because I feel like people have been suspect, and it's been sometimes hard for people to really see it because we've overshot and overused the term. What do you think?
I mean, I think I've been accused of crying wolf many times, but I really stand by my position, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And I have a close friend who's close with some of the celebrities that I've called out, and he would say to me, you know, I know them, they're my friend, they're not anti-Semitic. Can you like chill with calling them out? And I just talked to him 2 days ago, and he said, I didn't want you to be right, but you were right. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, maybe because I don't have direct lineage of Holocaust survivors, and I grew up in a place where there were so few Jews. I just wasn't exposed to it, and I've never taken my Jewish identity for granted or taken my existence for granted. And I don't know what it is that makes me see it for what it is, even when people either want to be in denial about it or want to say that I'm just being a drama queen. I am a drama queen. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I never thought that, like, first of all, I remember the first time I called someone out, it was Gigi Hadid. And it was when she had compared the Ukrainians in crisis during the Ukrainian war to the Palestinian conflict. And I remember the way I felt. And it felt really can I curse? Mm-hmm. It felt really shitty. Like, I didn't like the feeling of tearing someone down. But I also felt like, here's a woman with this massive...
Take this off first, then you can...
this massive following, way more followers than there are Jews in the world. And I have an obligation to at least use my tiny corner of the internet to speak the truth and to defend us. And so that's been something, you know, and I think that the way that we've seen anti-Semitism leading up until October 7th, when it has become so blatant and so obvious, but it has been veiled, and it has been, was that anti-Semitism? Was it anti-Semitism? And that's when they're doing a good job. Mm-hmm. Like, Gigi is so sneaky for her to just like sneak that in there.
And this is in a world pre-October 7th when you called this out, the first instance.
Oh, yes. This was...
What did she say? Do you remember what it was that like prompted it?
It was a quote that she had So Vogue magazine had taken her quote. She said, I am going to be donating my Fashion Month earnings to the Ukrainians in crisis who suffer in the same way that the Palestinian refugees do.
Gotta throw that.
And you know that she's a Palestinian refugee. She's considered a Palestinian refugee, even though she's never been to Gaza. And the way that the UN classifies Palestinian
refugees.
By
like third generation, still considered a refugee.
That would make me
a German,
a Ukrainian refugee, whatever. Like, it's ridiculous. So, I mean, I think that the way that anti-Semitism has been presented is that is it, isn't it? And I always see it as what it is. And that's what I call plausible deniability, like what Alicia Keys did.
Wait, so can you explain that to me? What about that struck you as anti-Semitic? Because I think it's like yucky.
Right.
But like, what about that made you go, something needs to be said?
Well, first of all, she was using the Ukrainians who were in a dire situation to push her own agenda, which is an anti-Israel agenda, which is I mean, she had before that even taken on a very pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel stance. First of all, I am pro-Palestinian, and I hope that the Palestinians will be freed from terrorism and rulership. I mean, I'm pro. I'm not really,
I understand.
but you know what I mean.
Of course.
Like, I am pro-humanity.
But you're saying taking any world crisis or opportunity to just figure it out as a way to launch off of that as an to come out of Israel. You're like, well, there it is.
There it is. And then Vogue amplified it. And
with some low resolution connectivity to something, and you know nothing about either situation, and you're just using it as a way to take a shot at Israel.
Exactly.
The motivations are yucky.
And to be anti-Israel is to be anti-Semitic.
There is no question in my mind, because most Jews that I know that are secular, their main source of connection to Judaism is Israel, whether they experienced birthright or went there for their bar or bat mitzvahs. That's how they connect to being a Jewish person, is by their connection to Israel.
Yeah.
We truly cannot disconnect the two. And even if you say to me that anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism, we have clear proof that anti-Zionism always leads to anti-Semitism, as we're seeing now.
I think the only consistent position is if you're against the Jewish state, then you're against every state. And you're against any country centered around any sort of cultural history or religion or anything. If you're against all of it, then I guess you can make the claim that, it's not anti-Semitic if you're just against sovereign countries. But beyond that, the only rational conclusion you can come to is that to be anti-Zionist is to be anti-Semitic, because it's the singling out and the impossible standard you're holding Israel to, and say that only people who can have a state are the Jews. That's sort of the rational conclusion. But I do think that it's really it's two things. So there's like when you examine that, I think there's sort of an instinct. I think right of center, that in the way racism has been just thrown around at any issue that we disagree with. And very sloppily used to highlight racism where it doesn't exist, it loses that credibility, it loses its ammunition, and it loses its ability to have an effect when you're saying, well, this person made a joke or this person disagrees with me politically, racist. I think some people right of center who are removed from the issue of Israel see this, calling out anti-Semitism here, as the same thing. I've run into that. And I'm like, two things can look similar, but they're not the same. And if you examine the double standard and the insane amount of scrutiny Israel gets versus anybody else, it leads you to that conclusion. But it takes some examination. What I just want to follow up on is, calling Whoopi Goldberg the same thing as Richard Spencer, a neo-Nazi, and we say anti-Semitism is at the root of both. Would you concede that ignorance is different than hate? I mean, there are people who might not know things, and they may say things that seem sloppy or even yucky or have a misunderstanding. But it's important for us as Jews combating anti-Semitism and bringing awareness to it that this person is misinformed and could use dialoguing and education and engagement, and this person's hateful.
I agree that and unfortunately, most of the information that people have access to is not in our favor. And I think that that's a huge part of the problem. And I have never believed in cancel culture, and I love the opportunity to sit down and talk to anyone and truly understand and dialogue. Actually, when I was in D.C. for the rally, at the hotel, there was a guy there to speak to Congress. He was a big representative for the Black Lives Matter movement. And we were all sitting down at the piano. We were like singing, playing, like having no idea why the other was there. And then when we started to talk about these issues, we actually were able to have a very civilized and amazing conversation. And I was able to help him understand a lot of things. I don't know if it's going to make any big difference, but to just humanize it. I do. I feel like it humanizes it.
Was he there for the rally to participate?
No, absolutely not. But I did offer him an Israel flag.
Right.
I was like, come bring your Palestinian flag. I promise you'll be safe. Nothing will happen to you.
What did you
not the same the other way around. But
what did you say to him that you think changed his mind? Do you remember?
I mean, it was like a longer conversation, but all he wanted to talk about initially was, he said first, I'm not pro this or pro that. I'm just pro peace and pro ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, all Israelis are pro peace. We've always wanted peace. That's why, we didn't start this war. We never have wanted any of the conflicts that we've had. Unfortunately, we are forced to defend ourselves because we're constantly up against people who want to kill us repeatedly since the beginning of our existence. So what would you like us to do about that? And it's so obvious to us, but they've never heard it presented
as the underdog.
Yeah,
that Israel faces this kind of
Right, and just hearing a kind person say that makes a big difference than seeing it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like being gentle. And I've realized,
Was there a response to that when you said his response? Did he have a response?
He said, oh, yeah, it's really interesting. He actually started following me on Instagram.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean.
No one's going to change their mind in an instant.
Of
You got to
course
plant
not.
the seed and sort of give people to understand where you're coming
perspectives.
from.
An anti-Hamas perspective. I mean, imagine.
It's, isn't there a part of you that gets really like, as much as you're on the front lines trying to combat these narratives, like post October 7th, there's always a part of me that's like, okay, I need to engage with this person or talk to this person. But at the same time, if you just can't see after October 7th the moral difference between Israel and its enemies, I have nothing more to say to you.
Yeah.
Like you need to fix yourself. It's nothing I can do for you. Do you get discouraged when you're?
I really try not to engage with people. I've sort of abandoned my desire to change people's minds online. I mean, if it's a face-to-face conversation, I think you have a much higher success rate with that because it's, human to human looking somebody in the eye. But I think online it's just a waste of time and energy and it just fuels anger within me. So why would I want to do that? I would rather spend my energy empowering my own people to feel proud to be Jewish because a lot of my followers want to hide who they are right now, and also to give them the talking points to be able to speak out in like a very measured and informed way.
Right. I have found that from the videos that I've put out, it isn't really aimed at the people who already hate me or hate Israel or Jews or the people in the streets shouting intifada revolution, calling for violence against Israel. I'm not trying to like turn them around per se, but I did find it was helpful, and I got a lot of messages from people who did want to support Israel, but they've been so co-opted by the language and these terms like cycle of violence and isn't just a terrible thing, and they want to lean towards pacifism, but they know that feels wrong too after seeing this, and they struggle to sort of articulate something that felt like resonant and clear without feeling like unfeeling or unhuman, because I just feel like it's discouraging in the sense that I feel like we've lost a little bit of that narrative battle for some reason. So I made the videos to help give people clarity for that. What do you think in terms of the years and years of trying to make the case for Israel? How are we doing on that?
Horrible.
Right. Why? What do you think?
I mean,
what's wrong with
How'd
it?
they mess this up? How'd they mess this one up?
Well, I think that they're just trying to survive another day, and so there's not a lot of time to like make sure that the world sees the truth.
Maybe it's just that they're Israeli.
PR
They're like,
is
listen,
never-
we want to live. Stop it. Don't bother. Okay, we want to make medicine. And
Sorry, we just want to survive.
Oopsie daisy. Don't. Please leave us alone. It's this. The problem is this.
Yeah.
Israel saying to the world, please, just wait. We're trying to live. It's okay. But the thing that I've noticed has been the problem is I think a lot of people who are educated about the subject from the pro-Israel side, to use the term loosely, they've been given a case for Israel that is really like bundled up with their personal connection to Israel, a religious connection, a spiritual connection, a family connection, and I think
we have to take the emotion out of it.
And I think there's what's missing from the education about Israel is the impartial ethical defense of Israel. Why Israel is a better, morally superior country. And I mean,
it's not that hard to make the case. Women's rights, LGBTQ,
all these things.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, when they're faced with a counter narrative, a counter argument about Israel, they're called out on their bias, which is appropriate. Yeah, it's appropriate.
How are we not going to have a bias?
You're a Jewish person with family in Israel, and you're raised with a personal connection. They see that as sort of compromising their defense.
Yes.
And I think it's important for them to be aware that it's perfectly appropriate to feel a certain kinship with Israel, but also be able to make a separate ethical defense on purely secular grounds, on purely modern grounds, not having to cite the Bible or ancient history, but recent history. And Israel has built itself into a modern, industrialized, free, prosperous country that protects individual rights. And I think that element of it that's removed from a personal connection is missing from like the education about Israel.
I do think like when I'm making my education videos at this point, I've sort of given up any hope of trying to make the world see the truth because I've realized a while ago that was never going to happen. There's just they don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. Like they want to be blind and deaf to the reality because the second that they acknowledge that the atrocities committed against us and that we have a right to defend ourselves, they have no more. What are they going to do? How are they going to be able to come out again? Continue to everything that they're rooted in, that they believe, that they've ever believed, is that Israel is oppressive. So they can't even.
So to admit that Israel's in the right is to turn their whole worldview upside down.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I almost wish everyone had just kind of shut up this time. And we're not going to make any statements.
Yeah.
We're just going to be quiet and do our thing and show strength and try that approach. 'Cause that's never been tried before.
Right.
And not try to explain anything.
You mean Israel sideways?
Yeah.
I agree.
Show strength and dignity. And
Anytime they
integrity.
speak, it doesn't go well.
Right.
It's just
Because Egypt.
exactly. I'm like, no.
But there's a humanitarian crisis. Well, Egypt. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'm like, but I've said so many times, I'm like, I don't even care anymore what the world thinks.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to still do what we need to do. Your opinion is not going to impact
100%.
our need to survive.
Yeah,
So we're going to do it.
I've said this before, there's a part of me that as much as you want to get out there and make the clearest case you can, there's also this part of me that says, there's not enough bandwidth for us as the Jewish people and the Jewish state of Israel to defend ourselves while trying to prove to you that it's justified that we do so.
Yeah.
It's like can you give us a little benefit of the doubt here? Like, we have to defend ourselves. That's priority number one. To convince you that it's justified to do so is not worth the time.
Sorry that we believe we have a right to exist on this planet.
And I've always said, especially since October 7th, it's like historically, every time Israel cedes the territory, figuratively speaking, to appease those who are looking at it with suspicion, they always lose. It always further deepens them into the dark hole of people's hate and disdain for them. And the second they pull back and say, you think what you think, we're going to do what we do, and we're going to be moral.
People respect that.
Yeah, there's a respect that comes with, we're going to be moral and just, and we don't have to prove to you that we're moral and just. We know we are.
Yeah.
This whole look at what we're doing, look how careful we were, look what we did, we dropped leaflets, we dropped pamphlets, we're so much better. And everyone goes, and because like you said, they don't want to look at Israel favorably.
No.
So when you do that, it's almost, it makes them hate you more.
It's like you're trying to win their affection.
Yeah.
It's an abusive relationship.
Yeah, Israel's in a physically abusive relationship with its neighbors.
Please love us, please.
Yeah, an abusive relationship with its neighbors physically, and an emotional abusive relationship with the West.
And the reality is, I don't really care about public opinion anymore. I don't need their approval. We don't need their approval.
And yet, we're out there making videos and doing interviews what are we trying to do? Gain approval or just give ourselves chizuk? I think it's more the latter, right? To give the Jewish people
I think it's
a sense of clarity.
I think it's about. I'm making the videos for my fellow Jews who are feeling extremely disheartened and afraid. That's what I want to do, and I have a pretty young following, and I want to help them to feel empowered. A lot of kids on college campuses are kids who are going to be going to college, and
have you noticed a different response since you changed your focus on who you're trying to address? Do you feel like it's more positive now than combative than it was?
Yeah, I mean, I went through a major identity crisis in 2021 because I was a fashion blogger. I was the girl you make fun of, and then.
We'll go there. We can go there.
Yeah, I don't know the story so well.
Yeah, I was working.
The Israeli Day Parade sketch. We have to bring that up.
Oh.
I did see that one.
I was going.
No one is safe. No one is safe in my purview.
That's
it's all out of
it's
love.
Flattery.
It's all out of love.
I have
so Identity Crisis 2020.
Yeah, so I was, a fashion lifestyle blogger, and I had always been outspoken for Israel and the Jewish people, but it wasn't the primary piece of content that I ever made. It was just a part of who I am. And I've always been no boundaries, transparent, open about everything.
Right.
But I didn't realize how I think I knew that Israel was controversial, but I didn't realize how hated we were until I decided to post my support for Israel during the conflict in Gaza during the spring of 2021, wrap myself in an Israeli flag, posted a whole post about why I stand with Israel, why Israel is moral and in the right in its defense of itself.
And where can people purchase that Israeli flag?
On Amazon.com.
Link in the bio.
And
Yeah. So you started to see flack then in terms of taking a step into this.
flack would be an understatement.
Yeah.
It was like death threats, loss of thousands and thousands of followers, got dropped by my management company at the time. Wow. Not because they were anti-Semitic, but because I was like no longer marketable.
Really?
And so I was like, all right, I'm going to lean into this.
Yeah.
And so...
Why? Why did you decide I'm going to lean into it instead of run the other way?
Oh, it actually never even occurred to me to run the other way. I was like, if I can't safely be who I am, and this shouldn't be controversial, then what am I doing? Like what is all of this rest of this nonsense for? What am I getting like attention and a few shekels? Like actually, I mean,
that sounds
sweet.
Nice.
Sounds great. No, but
that's what you said. That's the same thing you said, right?
What's that?
With where you're like, I don't want to make you people laugh if we can't even agree on what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
Like
the conscious choice for me was after October 7th and seeing this confusion at such a deep fundamental level. This is not like we're disagreeing on policy or politics here. I never instinctively went to my platform to like comment on Mitch McConnell or taxes or abortion or other political issues. But
this is deeply personal.
It's deeply personal. And more than that, beyond my personal connections to Israel, we're arguing about whether rape is wrong or a form of resistance. Is that where we're at now with like the state of humanity?
That's where we are.
And I felt like this mission-driven thing to say like, if we can't respect each other and tolerate each other as individuals and respect our rights to live, comedy has a very little time left. There's no place to do comedy in this environment. This is not a place to joke around. Just in the aftermath of that, I was so shook by that, and I felt compelled to speak out and say something. And it was interesting because in doing so, I thought I was kind of taking a departure from what I do, and it sort of threw me right back in a very strange way.
But that's a very Jewish thing.
Yeah, it felt like that a little bit. I've become a little more connected. I think we all were used to sort of the motions of Jewish life.
Yeah.
Before all this.
No, but I feel like
the
comedy has such an important role in this moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I love like all the satirical stuff that I'm seeing.
Right.
And
Did
you see Bill Cosby with the Hamas headband?
Yeah, with a Babylon Bee.
What was
it again?
What was the?
It said that Bill Cosby has now joined Hamas so that he can be let off the hook for raping women.
We gotta kill the Jews in the pudding pop. We're gonna go from the river to the sea. Take a pill just for me. There we go. Have a little nap, and we're gonna take the pudding individuals in the pudding pop. Yeah, that was hilarious. Babylon Bee shout. They've been amazing.
What are they?
Babylon Bee?
I've seen the image.
Babylon Bee's like the conservative Onion.
Yeah.
And they do a good job. There's in the conservative space, I will say, like right of center, the further right you go, like funny wise, it gets a little cringe. But Babylon Bee does a very good job at it. There's a few outlets that do a good job.
That was one of the best pieces of satire I've seen in a very long time.
Unbelievable.
Better than any SNL sketch, anything.
It
It
was so good.
Right on, yeah.
Well,
and that's what
and comedy is telling the truth.
Yes.
So it does. What I felt when I was saying like serious takes about things is like you have to tell the truth, and I just felt like, in a way, when I got good feedback for this, obviously I also lost. Turns out, Michael, I lost like 14,000 followers. Oh. Not 4.
Since October 7th.
Yeah, but gained 15,000, and I'm back where I started.
There you go.
There you go. What about you? Give me the hits.
Well, okay,
give me the metrics here. Give me the vanity metrics.
In 2021, I lost, I don't know, at least 10,000. And after that,
us influencers are hurting too. We're taking losses, okay?
After that, and when I made the decision to lean in, I sort of like I had like stabilized. I like went back, and I was basically like growing very, very, very slowly with my following for the past couple years. So on October 6th, I had 229,000 followers, and today I have 331,000. Over 100,000 followers. Not that I wanted them to gain them in this situation, but it is reassuring to me because with all the hate that I'm getting, I can also see that there are so many people looking for information, education, inspiration about what's happening. Yeah. And I'm glad that I can be a voice for them.
Have you considered going full Gigi Hadid Free Palestine next week to try to just like
you
gain
got
some
to
back?
you got to have a Free Palestine account
And just see how they do for brand deals and stuff. Interesting. But what I was going to say, what's bittersweet about it all a little bit is when you get this positive feedback for what you're doing, and what I like in speaking out about Israel, it's almost like, yeah, I'm glad it's sort of necessary, but I wish it wasn't necessary. Like, I wish I didn't have to be here in this scenario. Like you said, not in this situation. I wish it wasn't this way. I remember I used to hear like Alan Dershowitz get up at speeches, and his opening line would always be like, "I'm a lawyer.
I'm just a lawyer.
I want to practice law. That's always been my path for the Jews and non-Jews and Jews and non-Jews. Jews. I can only say the word Jews in Alan Dershowitz voice. Jews. But he said, that's my passion is law. I felt that no one was making the case for Israel, so I had to do it. And then he got all this accolade and controversy about it, but that became his brand.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like, well, it feels great that it's fulfilling a need. I wish there wasn't a need, especially post October 7th, to say, hey guys, there's a difference here.
It's also like a weird feeling to receive praise for doing what's right. And to be like, I'm like,
taking a stand against anti-Semitism. How brave.
Everyone,
brave?
Yeah. I just get like, I get this. And guys, like I've always loved attention. Like I grew up singing on a country music show. I did pageant, the whole thing. I'm an influencer. We're all like a bunch of psycho.
We love it. We love
whatever. And then, but this is different. Like I don't feel comfortable receiving the praise because it just feels.
It's each one is a reminder that like this is happening. It's like a very strange thing. I feel the same way. It's when a video of mine that performed well.
How many views?
Yeah, I actually was hesitant when this first happened. I was like, I had the Instagram there, and it's like October 8th, and everyone is totally shaken up, and the images are horrifying. So first I'm like, okay, phone down. I'm going to check in with real people, friends, family. Like, as a human being, let's see how people are doing and check in and figure that out and like put this away for a second, because posting is inherently a performative act. It just is. It's by the nature of it. Not that it's wrong or right. It's performative.
It is.
And so then I wrote something out and I posted that. This was like the start of sort of my journey in this space. I posted something with no video, just so people could just read it and like put my like stance out there. And then I started to just make videos just in my car. Maybe you've seen a few of them, but it was just like, when it did well, I was
highly
like,
produced.
It was sort of just like this, it's doing like people are responding to it, and then there's hate, and then you're just like, wow, like it reminds you that the world is divided over, is anti-Semitism bad? Is killing Jews in Israel, innocent Israelis, and raping them bad?
Genocide,
you know, watch the mic there. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So it just each time, and with the instance of this becoming a thing and getting attention in the sense that, wow, it's so brave of you condemning rape.
Yeah, it feels
so
super
brave.
Weird.
That you have to do that. You know, it's like, would you say that about anything else? Like standing up against racism, people would applaud you, but they wouldn't call it brave or controversial.
Yeah, but people call it brave because they know how controversial it is.
I'm saying the fact that it is disturbing.
It's
inherently.
very disturbing.
And the double standard of like standing up against racism, homophobia, sexism, all the isms that are bad in a civilized society. Easy to do and easy for good people of the world to get on board. Suddenly you stand up against anti-Semitism and all these institutions have trouble with it.
Yeah, they're like,
what's the context? I don't want to take a stand. We are neutral.
There was no conduct.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah, these admins on campus.
What was that? What did you think of that?
These administrators on campus from MIT, Harvard.
In a rage. And it's interesting because I knew exactly what they would say, but when I watched them say it, the hypocrisy.
Yeah, just
the
for the
smile
for the
from
folks,
Liz McGill.
For the folks watching yesterday, or
it was
we're recording after
Tuesday.
On Tuesday, there was they were brought before Congress, the administrators from Harvard, MIT, and Penn.
Yes.
And the question was: is calling for Jewish genocide against your community guidelines or policies?
Is it harassment?
Is it harassment?
When that speech turns into conduct, it could be
just
harassment.
Replace Jewish with black or any other minority. Is calling for genocide against African Americans, is that against your conduct? Would they say, well, we wouldn't want to have backlash against...
same policy. We should go there to these campuses.
Why didn't they ask the question like that? Like, is it harassment when you call for genocide of African Americans? Is it harassment when you call for genocide of women?
I think they did. One of them did, actually. And they, one of them did to the Harvard.
Yeah, what did she
so she said we have the same policy for every for every group when it comes to free speech. So I was thinking we should go to Harvard and like hold up racial slurs and
and see how we
what
do.
happens.
I don't know if you want to do that. That might not be the
Maybe
best look
somebody else
for
should.
Jewish advocacy to like, let's go full racist the other way and see how they react.
Here's what we do. We take the SATs, we get into Harvard.
Yeah.
All right? We stay there for 3-4 years, and then we do
Michael is committed to fighting anti-Semitism.
And then we do it.
Yeah.
Just the whole time planning for his senior year protest.
I saw conduct on all these campuses where Jewish students were actually physically assaulted.
Right.
So why is that not taken into account? This has gone beyond speech.
Very unsettling.
There are something so ridiculous, only an intellectual would believe them. And that's what you're seeing in these this campus culture. And like for the kids, what were you going to say?
What is it? Like what are those presidents thinking? Like why have their lawyers been like, this is how you have it was obvious. They're like, you're gonna get asked this question and this is what you read. Like,
They gave the same answer.
Yeah, why is that the stance? I don't understand. Do you?
I think it's what you said before, that as soon as you concede the territory of like turning the outlook of how you look at these things politically or narrative-wise on its head and admit to something, it turns the whole worldview upside down. There is a view in the far left intelligentsia that the world is viewed in oppressor and oppressed. Israel and the Jewish people in this context are the oppressors, and everyone else who's victim is the oppressed.
And they can do anything they want
and they
to
can
the
do anything
oppressed.
to oppressor. And for them to say otherwise will flip the narrative on its head. I feel like it is influenced by this idea that Jews as a minority, and that's why I'm saying that I think there's this double standard, because there's this perception Jews are part of the white, privileged class that are doing well, and we don't attribute their success to anything they've done. It's all exploited.
It's because of our skin color, even though we're not all white, but that's fine.
No, and I think they look at it that way, so they're like not looking at us as some marginalized minority.
I understand that academically or like culturally on the left, but I mean like why is like the Harvard legal team like
Giving
really
them that
committed
line
to like not protecting the Jews? Like I understand why the professors and the students feel that way, but why is the legal stance like
maybe it's
we
not
can't
the
protect
legal
them?
stance. They're probably saying to their lawyers, we can't this is what we have to do. We cannot take a stand in regards to hate speech.
It's them telling the lawyers.
I think so. I don't know. I'm sure the lawyers are Jewish. No, I'm sure.
You're gonna like this. I heard something very chilling from someone at an event recently who spoke about when he was in college in the 70s. There was roommates in his dorm that held up in their room like anti-Semitic posters, anti-Jewish paraphernalia, regalia, whatever you want to call it. Like, is regalia the word? Paraphernalia, and then paraphernalia.
Souvenirs.
Stuff in their room. And it was very disturbing. They were from like... They were from either Iran or an Arabic country or something that was, and they were expressing hostility towards Jews very explicitly. And he went to complain to the dean, the admin, and it turns out that the school receives a ton of their funding from Qatar.
Yeah, you got to follow the money.
Follow the money.
Qatari
money, and they refused to speak out against it because they didn't want to upset Qatar. Qatar. I don't know how to say it.
That is the core of all of it.
Follow the money. And I never go there. And you do. He's a very... look at the beard. He likes the...
This is not a conspiracy. There's proven facts that all of that, the Arab funding for these universities is $40 billion or something since the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah.
And so...
Chinese too.
Why?
China, they're behind it all. China. Sorry, Michael, you made me say it. You say China, I go China.
So they don't want to cut off their money flow, so they're going to appease the people.
That's an answer. I don't know if it's the answer. I don't know how accurate it is.
It is the answer. Yeah. It's definitely the answer, and it's all going to come out. And guess what? Nobody's going to care because they hate us.
That's a nice note. It's true. But yes, I mean, follow the money, which is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Follow the money.
You never know where it's going to lead.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Have you ever come across in any of these interactions have you been on like hostile panels where you have to debate other people, right? You've done that too. Right?
I try not to do that. I mean,
like it's a trap. Piers Morgan tonight.
No, I'm just like,
if
I was Ben Shapiro, I would be. I just don't have that kind of brain. I'm not.
Absolutely. That's all I got. But
that's about all there is.
Because you're more making sort of the talking points about like where we need to stand and like.
I also like to be a vessel of love and light. And
so does Ben. I love light. I love vessels. I love love. Yes.
So I just feel like it's not.
You've seen like Emily Austin and like.
I've seen her, and she's she's a different kind of personality than I am. She's a New Yorker. I grew up raised to be very polite.
I see.
And even in my...
Please don't hate the Jews, y'all. Yeah.
Exactly. We love y'all. Even if you hate.
Thanks, PS, for inviting me. It's
So
a
I
lovely
just-
studio you have here. Yeah.
So I feel like it's not necessarily the message that I want to send out there. I don't know how effective it is. I'm glad that Rabbi Shmuly is, out there talking about.
You do Rabbi Shmuly.
Yeah, so he's out there kind of. The thing that Shmuly does that bothers me.
Gotta take his shirt off.
Yeah, I'm coming at
Has
you.
a sex shop
Rabbi
with his
Shmuly.
daughter?
No, that was the accusation, right?
No, he does.
He has a sex shop?
With his daughter.
Yeah, it's sponsoring this episode. Thank you, Shmuly.
I love Chana, though, who runs
First book
the
I
sex
ever
shop.
read was Kosher Sex. First book
Great
I ever
book.
read. I was all Spark Notes until Kosher Sex. I had to see what that was.
It's a
Where's
great
the
book.
shop?
It's in Jerusalem.
I never heard of that.
All right, look for a
It's called
sponsor.
Kosher Sex.
Oh,
They sell, this is an ad, and
Okay.
we can get a promo
He'll
code
like
for them.
this, but the thing I don't like about when he goes on is he always starts with these ad hominem attacks, and he sort of gets into the mud a little bit with these people. He's like, look at this guy, Jake, he's a loser, he's pulling at 1%. Pulling at 1%. 1%, you're a loser. And I'm like, you just opened with this, like, throw in the mud.
I'm not into doing that.
Yeah, there's a case for Israel to be made here, a moral, ethical case. Let's
It
have the
cheapens
conversation.
the argument.
And then
You
Cenk is
don't
like,
need
oh,
that.
Rabbi Shmuly, oh, look at
Right.
you defending the IDF. You're a loser. No, you're a loser, Cenk, you're a loser. No, okay, I was on Cenk, I destroyed Cenk. I destroyed him. And he walks around the streets of London like,
Thank
take a
you
picture
for
with
wearing
me.
Israel blue.
I just destroyed Mohammed Ajab. I destroyed him. I owned the debate. Kosher Sex, go follow. And I'm like, yo, what was that? I wonder if it's a disservice. I appreciate that he's going out there and he's in the front lines and gets...
I'm glad that there are people doing it, and I'm glad that I'm not one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm with you. Also, the whole debate doesn't even. It's hard for me to follow.
That's 'cause you're a
I can't
loser.
comprehend them. Like they
They're
don't make
just
sense to
yelling
me.
at each other,
Yeah.
and I feel like nobody ever even makes a perfectly formed argument except for Ben Shapiro.
Right. And when he went to Oxford and tears it up and does all that stuff, that's
Yeah.
all very good. That's debate. And then
Yeah.
there's conversation. I guess have you come across counter arguments or stuff that are the most challenging to navigate? Like, is there anything that stands out to you that you're like, that presents a legitimate challenge or something where it's hard to parse or anything like that like has given you pause?
I mean, it's hard for me when people come at me with footage from like the West Bank of what it makes it very hard to defend when there's footage of these things. And
the optics of a complicated situation.
I'm not a politician.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert. I didn't go to school for this. And so there are moments where I don't feel properly equipped. And I try to get there. I try to educate myself so that I can't educate yourself. I hate when people say that. Don't you hate when people say that?
Educate yourself?
Educate yourself.
No one says that to me.
Because you're perfect
No, I
and
understand
you're
that.
I just don't say anything.
Yeah. In those scenarios, I think there's separate conversations to be had about like what internal Israeli policy should be regarding complicated situations.
I'm also, how do you educate yourself? Like when you come across something that's hard to argue against, who do you talk to?
My
Do you read
first order of
books or-
business is asking my husband
Okay.
because he will either know the answer. I don't know how he does plastic surgery for a living because he actually is like completely all consumed with everything related to Israel and American politics too, and knows everything. And he's just like a consumer of all media.
Right.
And so I'll go to him, and if he doesn't know, he'll figure it out for me. He's my researcher.
Right.
Everyone needs a researcher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not like.
Right.
This
I'm
isn't
not
my
a scholar
field.
either. It's not like
Yeah.
there's a time for academic discussion and scholarship and what internal Israeli policy should be towards situations. Fundamentally, for me, on the macro level, I'm like, zoom out. This whole situation fundamentally exists because of a refusal to accept Israel as a Jewish state, not to build a free Palestinian state, and the inability to do so. There's been many opportunities. And if you look at a situation that is obviously challenging and difficult, a wall and checkpoints and militarization of territories, the reason that exists is because there's an effort to destroy the Jews. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the fundamental.
If you stop trying to blow us up,
Maybe we could
then
talk.
we would take down our checkpoints.
Yeah.
What did Adam Carolla say?
Adam Carolla. I was on Adam Carolla. He opens. He's like, "Look, I don't know much about the region.
good.
Am I getting there? Well, I had
Yeah.
a long conversation, and it's like I don't follow closely. But the way I see it, it's like, look, the Jews want to live in peace. The Arab countries around it want to kill them. How's that?
That's it. No, that is it. It's very simple.
Very
this whole
simple. And then it could lead me
whole
back to
conflict-
full circle. I'm so frustrated. What else do we have to say?
This is it. We want to exist. They don't want us to exist.
You
and there
disagree
we
with
are.
Hamas when you say you're criticizing Israel and disagreeing with Hamas. They don't want us to exist. They're telling you what they want to do, and you're not listening to
They're
them.
literally saying to you, we want to kill you. That is their mission statement. We are going to throw you into the sea. What is it? Until
Let every rock behind every rock.
behind
If we
every
find a
rock and
Jew-
every tree. The tree will call out, "Oh, there's a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill him."
Right.
I heard a twisted interview yesterday on the Ezra Klein show. Do you know who he is? The New York Times writer. I think he owned Vox, maybe Vox Media, and then he
kind of has a little bit of it like this. Something like that. So it's
I guess that kind of captures that.
Lazy tongue.
Yeah, it's like a little bit. Yeah.
So he was interviewing this guy who wrote a book about Hamas, and the guy was explaining, well, like if you think about it, this is why Hamas rejected this offer by the Israelis for a state, because it wasn't like with enough sovereignty that it was like a real offer. And I was just like, well, like if you think about anything enough, you could justify it. Like thinking about it, like you don't have to think so much about this. It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Right?
Stop trying to analyze it. Stop trying to look for context. Why are you making it into something it's not? It's very easy to understand.
Right.
Maybe
This has been the same. And I was watching, actually, I went down a rabbit hole. This is why I was asking you to do your Bibi.
Of course.
Because I went down a rabbit hole last night of watching old videos of Bibi. Like, have you seen the ones of him when he was 28?
Back in the day, hot.
From the 70s.
He was so hot.
It's like, well, you were watching old videos of me. Tell me, what did you see?
So sexy.
Lizzy. I love the premise of your question. Because I used to testify all the time, and this is before I was even prime minister. I was a scholar. I studied at Oxford. So tell me, what did you
He's
see?
brilliant.
What did you see? Because I was doing that rabbit hole on your content too, and I bought some accessories.
Oh,
A
yeah?
necklace. I brought something for my wife. It's beautiful.
Sarah or the one before?
Probably the one before, if this was old.
Yeah.
It'd be awkward if I bought
Miriam?
it for now. Miriam, the first one.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
We don't discuss that.
We don't go
We
there.
don't discuss that.
Yeah.
But you hit the nail on the head.
What did you watch?
No, so I watched this old interview, and it could be aired today. Like the speaking about our desire for self-determination, and do the Palestinian people have a right to self-determination?
Well, of course, in the context, perhaps they would like to, if they would want that.
He's like, they
Not a
have
single
this
gray hair on him. Oh, so hot right now.
What color was his hair?
brown,
Brown?
very good looking, like really
I don't think I've ever seen
very
him.
masculine and like
Yeah. He was like a general.
Well, let's
right?
just sit with that.
he's like
I'm going to put in a little, we're going to
He's
superimpose an image of Bibi.
Bibi was hot.
He's just in the disco.
I know that like Bibi is controversial, but Bibi was sexy and very
His army
confident.
uniform.
Beyond.
I feel that way about Golda Meir. Ooh.
They've got.
By the way, she had a very active love life. Did you know?
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, she
no.
She did.
she was very widely desired. There was
By whom?
I'm reading
Interesting.
her book Lioness right now, or it's not her book, but it's a biography written about her.
Interesting.
And they talk about how her best friend said that out of every 5 guys she talked to, 4 would fall in love with her because she had this like charisma and energy.
Yeah.
Prime Minister energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Like that.
I know, but you look at her and you're like, that with those ankles? Like, really? And the hair and the...
Well, hey, different strokes for different folks, huh?
But she was
It was
very
the 70s. It was a
secure in-
wild time.
She was very secure in herself, and I
Yeah.
think that's
Right.
attractive.
Yeah, come on,
But even
feminists.
her-
Feminists, strong Israeli women leaders, huh? Get on board.
There are some hot feminists in Israel, too.
Yeah.
But not that I'm that shallow, but there are beautiful people in Israel.
Beautiful. Beautiful people in Israel, folks. The women are so unbelievable. Beautiful people in Israel. Beautiful
Do
women.
you follow Omer Adam?
Yeah, I just
gorgeous.
actually said
Omer Adam?
Yeah.
his girlfriend.
Short guy.
Yeah.
I
He's
just
short, right?
met her.
He's a short king?
He's short. Yeah, his girlfriend's like very
She's
much taller than
She's
he
like
is.
at
Yeah.
least 5'10".
You guys were at an event together recently?
Yeah, I took a picture with her,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't want to post this because she's so pretty, but then I did it because I was like, this is good for Israel. Like, look.
Yeah. Yeah. Short king. Incredible voice.
No, his
Send you to
voice
the heaven.
is
Amazing.
unbelievable. The voice of an angel.
I feel like his life right now is awesome.
I know.
Like pop star in Israel. He just like seems like a king right now.
He flies private
Tel
around.
Aviv, Habibi, Tel Aviv.
He needs more hit songs, I think. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Good
Did
stuff.
you?
That's pretty
He's
good.
gone like he's like very spiritual. Also.
Yeah, putting the kippah,
Yeah.
yarmulke, going on
Yeah.
stage. I feel like we are all, as a people, more spiritual in a way.
I love that.
The dark shadow of history is upon us. It sort of summons out the Pintali Yid, as
I
Matisyahu
know.
called it.
It's a wondrous time, I
Yeah.
think. It's scary, but there's something exciting about it. You know,
I
like
know, isn't that
100.
weird?
Yeah, like you got like
Yeah.
100,000 followers. There's like something happening.
I
you
feel
know?
like
There's-
we're about to be at the dawn of like a whole new identity, like leaning into our identity.
It's been hard to say anything
put it.
insincere in the past like 6 weeks. You know, in a way that
Yeah.
before the motions of everyday Jewish life, it's like, yeah, we do these things, but everything kind of feels a little bit like the motions.
Yeah.
You don't want to focus too much on the spiritual or mission-driven stuff. It just feels a little bit But since it has awakened in a way this
Even-
the ancient ancestral spark.
Even from like a content
That was good.
perspective,
That was
like
good. Yeah.
that was very good. It's awakening.
Cut that up. Cut that up.
And
Yeah,
it's
cut
just
that
in time for Hanukkah.
Yeah, there you go. It's going to be a big Hanukkah this year. Hanukkah's going to be huge because
Yeah. It will.
Wow,
I
yeah.
mean, there's so many parallels.
Yeah.
But like even from a content perspective, you're talking about putting out the words and then the filming in your car. Like I feel like I can't do anything that feels calculated
Yeah.
anymore. Everything has to feel super real. Like I just want to be real with my people, you know?
Yeah. And I saw you had that demonstration like geared at like the feminist groups recently. That was
Oh,
a big
yeah.
one. Where you put up can you tell me about that? What was it again?
Yeah, we did a demonstration outside of UN Women.
Uh-huh.
And we had women dress up
Yeah.
like rape victims
Yeah.
to call out the UN women for their silence. And, you know, it's, you guys know, this has been,
Yeah.
I think, honestly, this
That's
is
what Bibi
the
said.
thing
Where
that,
are you? Where's your side? Shame on you. Where are you?
but it's true. Where are they?
Yeah.
And
It's wild.
I think that this has been, the rape and the silence that followed has been the most hurtful and the most exposing of anti-Semitism of anything.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
being able to defend rape and call it resistance, or not stand up when you've stood up for every other group,
and when you were
is
up in
very
arms
obvious.
when you were up in arms about inappropriate comments in the workplace.
exactly,
But now gang rape as a sexual assault weapon of war. Well, we need more evidence.
They
even though-
deserved it.
Just all of it. You know, that's another thing. The apathy and the spinelessness of just this apparatus of Hollywood, mainstream culture to be like, I don't want to say anything. It's just, that's so
I
appalling
can't touch
too.
Israel.
Yeah, it's just so appalling too. I mean, it's a really deeply disheartening and sad state. Not just to see the people in the street shouting Intifada revolution and calling for violence against Israel,
The
but the
silence.
people who can't see that for what it is and stand on the side of good unapologetically.
That is way more painful.
Yeah, I think so. Because you expect the good people of the world
Even
will have your back.
Jews,
You know, yeah.
where are so many of these influential Jews on these issues?
Yeah, there's been a good amount, but there's been a lot of people who haven't said anything. And granted, I don't want to
like
force.
to get into any
Yeah.
of that, like tit for tat
Yes.
nonsense, and I don't call out. I have like a policy that I don't call out Jews publicly, except for Jewish Voice for Peace because they're not really Jews.
Yeah, I hear that.
But I don't do that.
They're
But
Jew- yeah, well, we don't hear that. Yeah, I hear you.
I try not to shame people because I
Right.
don't think it's effective. I don't like being shamed myself.
Well, yeah, if somebody's maybe should speak out about something or you'd like them to, I think yelling at them is probably going to only further them
Yes,
into a corner.
exactly.
Who's been the best so far? You think the best
top.
like A-list celebrity?
Juliana Margulies has been amazing.
Which I haven't
And
heard
she's
of.
really struggled. She came out
Yeah.
for Israel right away, came out for the Jewish people right away. She emceed this event that I was at last night, but she's really been getting crazy hate. She had to turn off all her comments.
Oh wow.
It's very, and she said, she looked me in the eye last night. She said, Lizzy, I'm scared. And I'm like, but you're like an A-list celebrity. But
She's the good wife.
Yeah.
Is she yeah. Okay.
yeah. And I'm grateful that she's
The good Zionist wife.
And it's like, how sick that I have to go to her and say, "I'm so grateful. Thank
Yeah.
you for speaking." It's like when people praise me.
Yeah.
But it's
Crazy. It's because she's shocked by how alone she is.
She's alone.
in this outspokenness. It's wild. You see Deborah Messing and people like that.
Deborah Messing has been amazing.
Yeah. And then there's this weird thing where the other side is like, oh, you can't say anything anti-Israel in the media. And then the side we feel like, Ronald, you can't say anything pro-Israel in the media.
Yeah.
It's so weird how
That both sides.
They both feel like that.
They both
Yeah,
think they're
yeah.
losing.
Do they really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's this narrative
Yeah.
on the
That's what
pro-Palestinian
I've heard.
side that is like, you speak out against Israel or against Jews, you're shut down, you're done because the Jews have this control of the narrative
So
of the. You know,
interesting.
it's
Yeah.
especially
Oh, yeah.
in the Kanye story when that happened and he started making his rounds and sort of opening the Overton window of what you can say about Jews. You know, there are people who think like you speak out against Jews, like they'll shut you down, they'll take you down, and it's so funny because I find that like. For us, we're like, you can say whatever you want about Jews, and they're like, you can't say anything about Jews. The Jews are powerful behind the scenes doing these things. And it's like, yeah.
No, I'm usually the only one coming for any of these people, and I'm like a 5'1" little nothing.
No, just to be
like,
fair to the claim, like, yes, Kanye suffered some social consequences and lost licensing deals and brand deals and things like that. But I think if Kanye dropped an album tomorrow,
it would
do
go
well.
Platinum.
And I haven't seen Michael Richards in years.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's not Kanye what Kanye represents himself, because we spoke about this on an earlier episode when it was happening, that Kanye was clearly very mentally unstable.
Did you hear his new song?
What is that? Yeah.
Does he really have one?
Yeah. Kanye? Yeah, he has a new song. It's I effed a Jew.
Oh.
They like something about, he's like, you call me anti-Semitic, I just effed a Jewish girl.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, he's going somewhere. He's going to have Jewish kids.
I don't know. Chris Brown was rocking out to it.
I heard about this. I effed a Jew. Yeah. So they're going to make more Jewish babies. He's kind of self-defeating in that way. But
he is Jewish, if you ask.
Oh, that's right. Jewish.
Yeah. How can I be anti-Semitic? I am a Semite.
But what he did. Yeah, I am.
Sounds like something he said.
When even though for him himself as a vessel for this stuff, I think was coming more from a place of mental turmoil and mental illness. I'm not excusing it, but I think that was a lot of the source of it.
I don't know.
There were millions of people resonating with what
Yes.
he said. So forget him as the subject.
Yes.
They're like, Kanye speaking truth,
Yeah.
Kanye speaking facts. And
like-
he's saying, I love Hitler, and Hitler had a point.
Yeah.
He's not making a politically sophisticated argument about anything. He's
That's
saying
what
pure hate.
happened with Jamie Foxx. And Jamie Foxx came out and like apologized after he had said they killed Jesus. Just to, like I can't remember the exact quote, but it was like, they killed Jesus. What did you think they would do to you? And I was like, he was like, I didn't mean the Jews were they. He's like, that's just something that the black people say.
But
I was like, really?
Lizzy,
I've never.
I love.
Yeah, don't ruin Jamie Foxx for us.
Please, we need I love
No,
Jamie.
but
It's amazing.
But no, okay, so I'm not going to ruin Jamie Foxx for you.
Please.
Although, whatever.
You know what? I love Jamie Foxx. my
Well, that's Ray. That's
But I
Charles.
do-
That's just Ray
But
Charles.
you know what, man? I just think it's groovy, baby. I just think it's groovy, baby.
Oh my God.
Well, don't ruin Jamie Foxx for me. Well, don't. We're losing all our favorite brands.
No, but this is my point.
Dave Matthews coming out.
I
for
know.
Spring
That
Gaza.
actually really hurt.
Oh, we're
That
modern Orthodox
hurt.
Jews. He's
I know. That was like our summer camp.
What do we have? The
anthem.
whole audience
I
is
know. Everyone-
Ramaz.
I know.
The whole audience at a
I
show is
know.
Ramaz. What are you
Well,
going to do?
He's very worried about the Palestinian children.
I get that. I said on stage, if Trader Joe's comes out free Palestine, we're all going to be anti-Israel. All the Jews are going against Israel. We're not trading Trader Joe's.
No, we can't.
We love Israel.
We need Trader Joe's.
In the fall, all the pumpkin. Okay, I derailed. What was it?
Trader Jareen.
Oh, but-
What would their like
Joe's.
Arabic
Hashtag
food
Trader
flavor
Joe's.
be?
That would do well.
But
Hey,
no,
what were you going to say about Jamie Foxx?
Jamie, no,
Jamie
so
Foxx.
he, but all the comments,
Yes.
Even if he didn't mean it that way,
Right. It opens up.
it opened up
a mirror.
all the support. Everyone was so thrilled to see him
And
post that. They're like, I told you,
Yeah.
they killed Jesus. You're right.
And Dave Chappelle's monologue too, when he shifted out of humor into commentary, he goes, the most disturbing part about that monologue is when I like the opening jokes about Jews. I was laughing, very
Are you
funny.
talking about the SNL monologue or the recent thing?
No,
where he just went,
well, that too. But the SNL monologue that was public that we all saw.
Yeah.
The most disturbing part about it was when he said, now Jews have been through terrible things, but you can't blame that on black people. You just can't blame that on African Americans.
when did we ever blame any?
And
when
it got,
did we ever?
It got no reaction because we're like, no one's saying that. It's Kanye who's saying, let's blame all the Jews for these problems. So
Why? Yeah, but this is. I actually wrote a.
But I'm
poem
more of a
about
Jamie
this.
Foxx fan than a Kanye fan. I can't lose Jamie.
Wait, what was
Yeah,
it?
you
Yeah,
wrote
I
one?
wrote a poem about it. All the
poem.
things they've done to us can and will be used against us. They always take whatever they've done to us.
Who's
And-
they? Be careful.
They is the collective people who hate Jews, and it's like,
Careful.
oh, you're committing genocide.
Careful.
You're
Yeah.
a Nazi.
The hostility narrative towards the Jewish people.
Yeah, who was it that said like take a group that's accusing another group of something, and that's exactly what they think about themselves.
Exactly.
You know, like
Exactly.
the American left with the Native
They're
Americans
the ones raping.
occupying their
when
lands.
did we rape?
You're
yeah,
right,
it's
right.
like
Yeah.
It's so, but back to this whole two-sided living in two different movie theaters kind of thing and watching two different narratives. It's like they call the Zionists the ones who are doing what they claim Hamas is doing. So
Yeah.
each one is in their silo.
Yeah.
So like whenever I make a video supporting Israel, like condemning rape and condemning oppression and condemning violence, they're like, oh my God, this is so ridiculous. It's the Zionists.
he's the Zionist.
who are doing
they
that.
call me Liz Zionist.
Liz Zionist.
I was
That's
like,
not
I
very
like that.
smooth.
That should be like
Liz
my Twitter
Zionist.
handle.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Liz-
but I feel like
Liz Zionist?
what they've
Is it?
done-
Liz, no,
No.
there's something. It's not as snappy as
I know.
Yeah.
We
well,
can
what
do better.
they've done
The
is
Zionists.
they've decided that the word Zionist equates to the word racist.
Yeah.
And once you've decided someone's racist, you can say anything you want about them.
Right.
Because they're...
Yes.
Right.
Even though that's what I made this there. I made a video about like Hamas, and people are like, why are you calling it Ch? I'm like, I'm right.
It is Hamas.
Is it Hamas?
It's Hamas.
I always say Hamas.
It's actually Hamas.
It's Hamas.
Arabic.
Hamas.
I say hummus also.
Yeah,
though.
yes. No, but I said like,
I just did.
for
It's
those
fun.
out there supporting or sympathizing with Hamas, I want you to imagine that there was a black community in the United States being terrorized by a white supremacist regime, because Hamas is explicitly racist. It's an explicitly racist
But
organization.
they're oppressed, so it doesn't matter.
But I'm saying in their charter, to their own words, and they're proudly racist.
Oh,
They're not
yeah,
trying to
right.
conceal it. That's who you're supporting. You're supporting racism because they want to destroy
But
not
they're
just Israel,
oppressed, so they could do whatever
all
they
the
want.
Jews. They want to kill all the Jews. But I'm like, you on the far left here supporting Hamas. Like, if you had a group, a minority
Yeah.
in this country being terrorized by racists, you're
Yeah.
siding with the racist.
Yeah.
And there's obviously
Yeah, but
that-
as long as those racist people are anti-Jewish, it's okay.
Right. No,
There's
I know.
a loophole.
I know. But I think for people watching, when they're seeing people in mass supporting Hamas, pro-Hamas rallies, not pro-two-state solution,
No.
not pro-innocent Palestinians who are suffering, pro-Hamas. It's like these people, the anti-racists, are supporting an overtly, proudly racist
Have you
organization that is Hamas.
seen any
It's bizarre.
two-state solution rallies?
No.
So, yeah, I mean...
Not recently. I'm just saying, let's remember, you're not supporting like a sovereign Palestine, like
No,
free
that's
Palestine.
what
You're
I'm
supporting
saying.
the elimination
You're
of the Jews.
seeing all these people. Did you hear what they were chanting at NYU? We don't want no two states. We want all of it.
Yeah, I will
We
say,
don't want no two states.
we want all of it. Their rhythm is better than ours.
No, that is, by the way,
You're
you
a
asked me
singer.
how are we doing
The rhythm.
with the narrative. We don't have these cute, snappy, like from the river to the
Yeah.
sea. Like that's
I watched.
And we're like, yeah.
I watched a video on
Like,
Reddit.
I'm Yisrael. Hi.
No, we're like
Bring them
read
home
this like
now.
7-paragraph essay I
them
wrote about why you should stand with us. Like
We should do a video of like rhythm lessons for Jewish crowds.
I don't have any
Everybody,
rhythm.
5, 6, 7, 8.
We need a song.
Beat. Everyone's together. We don't have the rhythm. There's a lot of hip hop
We don't
support
got the
for
rhythm.
they have a lot of that.
Even Bring Them Home
We
could
don't
have been
have
better.
Yeah.
Bring Them
well,
Home.
Easy. Ugh.
No, the hashtag. Like,
Well, there's two of them.
no support here.
Well, I hear you.
I'm not saying the
You're bringing
idea.
the buzzkill. Buzzkill, Michael. Buzzkill. Yeah, our chants, we need to work on.
I know we don't
Rhythm
rhyme. We don't have rhythm. There's no like sing-songiness.
We're good at managing the music industry, but not making it. Okay, we do what we can. We're supportive.
You could actually be good with that. You
Coaching?
should write us some chants.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be the chant guy.
An album of literally 30 seconds.
That would be amazing.
Stream it on Spotify.
50
and get
chants
it in
for
your-
Israel.
I will promote it. That'd be great.
Yeah,
We need
interesting.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start cooking them up.
That's what we need.
Then people
That's
will
your
say
lane.
we're like brainwashing our children young
Right.
with our.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lizzy, any good Shabbos recipes?
I don't do the kitchen.
I was just trying to move off of this a little bit.
Oh yeah, I do sometimes make challah
Yeah.
just because it's a spiritual experience. But actually, my my assistant, who's
Yeah.
really just the CEO of my life,
Yeah.
has the best challah recipe.
Yeah.
and she strong arms the challah. So I'm just like in the kitchen, and
Right.
sometimes I
Supervising.
braid, but I'm not like a cook. So no.
Okay.
We can cut that part
Yeah,
out.
that's
It's
okay.
probably not that
It's
interesting.
fine. We'll get sponsored with a challah sponsorship or something. I like that.
We like yeast.
But it is I'm hopeful, and I'm glad we're out there speaking truth to moral
Truth to power.
truth to power. I don't like that word. Truth to power. To the moral depravity of everything. But like I said, it is like a bittersweet thing. And
Yeah.
I don't want to close on a note like that. How can we be hopeful? What do you think, Michael?
Hopeful.
I don't know.
No, I think what we said. There's something exciting going on. The future seems scary but different than it was in the past.
Maybe when the stakes are
It feels
higher,
like
it brings
things
us-
are-
Even if
Yeah.
we had to let's say worst case scenario, we got to get the heck out of America because the better that we do in this war, the worse the anti-Semitism is going to get. Let's say we all have to make Aliyah.
I love Herzliya.
Yeah, Herzliya Patua. We could
Herzliya, all of us, Herzliya.
Yeah, I mean, how exciting it would be! Like
The
a whole,
Zionist goes to Herzliya, baby.
it'd be like a whole.
It'd be a party.
Yeah, it'd be like
a
a whole
freaking party.
adventure.
Do you ever think to yourself, can we really all fit?
I know. I think about
Yeah.
that too.
So
But
how's
how
it-
did they all fit in the Beth Hamikdash?
Well, no, they say the borders expand, and that's
Well, how do the Palestinians feel about that?
Oh, whoa.
Like,
No, but it's going to be fetchy. It's going to be like, this is ridiculous. There's no room on the flight. But people say there's room. The negative. It's like this. We're going to kvetch a lot. Israel is about to get a lot
do you think they were
fetchier.
kvetching like back in the day,
Oh,
like
for
thousands
sure.
of years ago?
Oh, for sure.
God, it's so hot. Did the Savage have to take this long? Slaughter the goat, throw it off the cliff. I have to get
Honey,
home.
we got to get to
Can
the
you
base of
picture-
Mikdash. Gonna be late.
Picture us like shechting, doing all these sacrifices.
Oh, my
Like
God.
manual
Apparently,
labor.
It was chaos.
And they're like the Kohen Gadol, like the high priest goes in. Hey, I think he did a good job this year. He did a really nice job.
But
He
when they
accepted the incense. It went up. Very good. He's still alive.
I couldn't hear a word he said though.
And
A word he said.
Word he said that was terrible.
But
Louder.
They're all Sephardic though, so they were
Right.
probably less kvetchy.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They're probably like, very good. He's good. This one is good.
Exactly.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Do.
I
He goes
could
up. He's
see
still
them
alive. Yeah.
slaughtering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we gonna have to all learn how to daven Sephardi?
I mean, I usually talk during davening.
I don't think there's gonna be davening.
Yeah.
Done.
We won't just.
I usually
Yeah, done
talk.
with
I usually
that.
talk in the back. I find my little corner, so I say what I have to say. But
We
anyway,
gotta wrap up.
Lizzy Savetsky, Liz Zionist in the house. Thank you for being with us
Where
here.
can we
at
find you on
Omni's House.
Instagram?
Follow me at Lizzy Savetsky, Lizzy Savettsky,
Okay.
and that's really the only place that I am. I don't mess with that. I don't fuck with the TikTok.
Oh, well, I'm on the tick. I'm on the tuck. It's a beautiful app, but it's owned by China. So it's terrible. They're collecting our data. 2024, we'll be back with Lizzy. Anyway, props to you. Keep doing what you're doing on the front lines.
Thank you.
Heroin for the Jewish people. Lizzy Savetsky, thank you for joining us at Ami's house.
It was an honor.